Mini Wargamer Dave here from Miniwargaming.com. Outside of the Mini Wargaming Gaming Club, Matt and I are going to do a little playtest for you here. We're going to show you Primal Horizon, the new game that is in development. Turn your attention to the Grandmaster himself.
Hey, it's Matthew here from Miniwargaming.com, and in this video what we want to do is kind of show you how Primal Horizon is played. We're working on a new game, and it's been a lot of fun making it. It's a skirmish game, so it's a smaller scale than 40k or Fantasy, probably along the same scale as War Machine, although it's not the same kind of game. It's based in a near future after a cataclysmic event. Lots of natural disasters have cleared out most of the Earth's population, so it's a post-apocalyptic, but not a post-nuclear war-based game. If you want more details on it, go to our forums. There's a section just for Primal Horizon. That's the name of the game now. We're going to do a bit of a sample game here. It won't be completely balanced because I don't want to do a full game. We don't want to take an hour, but we just want to show you the basic mechanics of it. If you want to play test it, you can. Playtesting rules, the beta rules, are up on our website. If you go to the forums, miniwargaming.com/forum, and the sample factions are there too. We're going to be using soldiers against bandits. The bandits will definitely be a faction or a group of factions in the game, but the soldiers are just a stand-in, just to test out what we want to do. Since we don't have our own miniatures for it yet, although we do plan on eventually coming out with our own line, we're going to be using 40k miniatures. So down here we have the soldiers. There's a few soldiers here. These guys just count as, they're not Marines with power armor, they're just soldiers with slightly heavy armor. And there's 3 guys with rifles and then a guy with a machine gun. The flamethrower is a machine gun. We have a sniper, and then we have the leader. And over here we have the bandits. I'm just using other colored Space Marines and the orcs to stand in. The bandits are more ragtag, they don't have as heavy armor. These ones are all close combat except for this guy right here, he's got a flamethrower. And then we got 4 bandits with rifles and 1 bandit with a machine gun, a rocket launcher. And then we have the bandit leader. And both leaders have a laser rifle. It's very similar makeups, just that the soldiers are slightly more armored and the bandits are a little cheaper because they're not as armored, so you get more numbers there. This is probably about half the size of a standard size game. A standard size game will be around 250 to 300 points, and then you can go up to all the way to 500 points is what our goal is with it. If you are deciding to playtest the rules, there's a few things you need to understand. The rules that I wrote, there's about 11 pages of them, they're just the rules. There's not any detailed examples, there's no pictures or anything, so watch this whole video so you can kind of get an idea of how it works. The tactics in this game, since it's a small scale skirmish game, it's not all about killing your opponent. It's also about pinning them and suppressing them in place, and you'll see how that works as we play. But a very important component to this game is cover. There needs to be a lot of cover on the board, and if you ever leave your squads not in cover, you're basically handing the game over to your opponent, because the cover gives you great bonuses and things die very quickly. Even the heavily armored soldiers will die very quickly if they leave cover, as you'll find out. And so we're going to play it on a 4x4 board, and this board is not fully set up yet. I want to show you how we set up the board for the game because it's not explained in the rules yet. But I like to have the 4 main buildings, 1 in each quadrant, and you want them not too close to the middle, but it's nice if the distance between buildings is around 12 inches. That way people can actually set up in the buildings and shoot at each other if they really want to. And then we'll have this one over here. Actually, because we're going to play this way, I'm going to make sure that one of these types of buildings is on one side and one is on the other. We don't have any specific rules for setting up terrain yet, kind of have guidelines for it. So I'm just going to do it in a way that would seem fair to kind of fill in all the cover, because this is still really open. In a 40k game, this is pretty tight combat, but this is actually considered very open for Primal Horizon. Because like I said, if there's ever a time that your guys are out in the open, they will die if your opponent knows what they're doing. And so what we use for cover is we have these Pegasus barrels. These are oil drums. They come painted like this, and we use their sandbags as well. You can use whatever you want, but we love these. We opened up a bunch of packages because they work perfectly for this game. So for now, this is what we're going to use because it just fits so well. And the way that you can do it is you can divide your extra drums and sandbags up into 3 groups, and one person grabs a group and they place it on their third of the board. The other player places on their third of the board, and then you take turns placing in the middle of the board. And that way you kind of get an even distribution. For this, I'm just going to quickly place a terrain so you can see how it's done. Now, since I was just placing all the terrain, I'm just going for more even distribution. When the terrain placing rules come into account, it will be part of your strategy to make sure you place terrain on your side to protect your advancing lines. Because like I said, I'm going to emphasize this again, leave your guys out of cover, you might as well hand the game over to your opponent, unless your opponent doesn't know what he's doing. So once the terrain is set up, another thing I forgot to mention is some of the equipment that you're going to need. This is a D12 based game. Now, I wanted to make it a D6 game because I know everybody has D6s, but the way that the mechanics work won't work with D6s. We tried it, it was just too cumbersome and it didn't quite give what we were looking for. So we do use D12s. Hopefully you can scrounge up enough D12s. You don't need that many. You need as many as there is your biggest squad. So we have a squad here of 4 guys plus a flamethrower. So we only need 4 dice for these guys to shoot. And over here we only need 4. So my bandits actually only need 4, and those soldiers over there actually only need 3. So we only need 4 dice between the 2 players to play. Now I would say probably if you're going to buy them for this game, to get between 5 and 10. We do sell D12s for a really good price on our website. A set of 10 of them for only $4 Canadian, or you can buy 20 of them for, I think it's $7 Canadian. We just wanted to put those up there at a really affordable price. We bought a ton of them in bulk, so we saved a lot of money, and so we're passing those savings on to you in case you want to get it. You can also go to your local gaming stores. If they sell D&D products, Dungeons and Dragons products, they might also sell random dice. Some of them will have like a dice bin. Just pull out 5 to 10 of those dice, pay a few dollars for them, and you'll have all you need. You also need some sort of marker system because a lot of effects happen to the squads. So we use these. I believe Mike picked these up at Michael's, and so they're just these red stones just to mark the effects. It would be best to have 3 different colors because there's about 3 different effects that will happen to your groups. So we use blue for morale, red for critical hits, as you'll find out what those are, and green for flesh wounds against the characters. So you'll see how those are used as we play. You also need a measuring tape, and in these armies, we're only going to need a flame template. Some of the armies use a 3-inch template right now too. It's also nice to have a D6, because some of the things require you to roll the D6. If all you have is D12s, which is unlikely, you can just roll a D12, divide it in half, and round up. So it's pretty straightforward that way. So I'm going to grab one D6 just to save having to do more math in my head. So now the very first stage is that we want to deploy our squads. And the way you do that is you both roll D12, and whoever rolls highest gets to choose if they go first or last. It's usually better to go last to see where your opponent's going. And then you go back and forth placing entire squads, and then the last thing that both players place is their leader. And then you roll again to see who goes first. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to play against Dave, who's holding the camera right now, but we'll just try to give you a good idea of what's going on in the game. All right, Dave, let's do this thing. And we've played this a bunch of times already, and we have a lot of fun doing it. The rules get different every single time. So here we go. Beat a 12. 11. Oh, okay. So you place first. As for now, we don't have any scenarios created. It's just going to be kill your opponent, but there will be more scenarios created. So deployment is within 12 inches of your side. There's no limit to the height, so if there's a building in 12 inches, then you can put it up there if you like. So he's going to place one squad, so either this squad here or his sniper. He can't place his leader yet, that has to go last. And he doesn't know if he's going to go first or second, so the best idea is to keep it in cover right from the beginning. Okay, so I'll place one of my squads. So I'm going to place my shooty squad right here. And now he'll place his sniper. And then I'll place my close combat squad. I'll put him right here, so maybe they'll be able to flank. And now we'll place our leaders. And you have to declare if they're joining squads at the beginning of the game. So those are joining a squad there. They are allowed to leave a squad at any time that they want. There's definitely an advantage to keeping them in a squad. It's because when the squad gets hit, you can't target the leader in particular. You have to roll to see who hits. If he's by himself and he gets shot at, well, it's going to be him that's hit. If your leader dies, you're in big trouble because you have to take morale checks every turn or run away. So I'm going to have this leader join this squad. But like I said, he can leave and join a squad anytime he wants. At any point, it's the beginning of the movement or at the end, he just has to declare that he's doing it so that the opponent knows. Okay, so now we roll to see who goes first. Alright, so Dave rolled higher, so he gets to choose if he wants to go first or second. Okay, he'll definitely go first, he says, which is an important tactic. Alright, so Dave just did his turn. He got first turn. He took a pot shot with the sniper, but because these guys are behind cover, it made it very hard and he missed. And these guys advanced. They ran, so they get to move double their speed. I'll show you how it's done in my turn, but they move double their speed up to this cover. So even though this character's out in the open, because at least 50% of the squad is in cover, everybody gets the cover bonus. But if that character, if that leader was not part of the squad, he would have no cover and he'd get toasted in this next turn. All right, so it's my turn. Now when you go, you do each squad, you do all of their actions before moving on to the next. And there's only 2 actions you do. You move and you attack. There's no moving, shooting, assaulting like in 40K. You move and then you either shoot or you do close combat attacks. And you have to complete it all before moving on to the next squad. So if I move this squad and then I move this squad, then that squad can't shoot because I've essentially moved on to the next one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look. These rifles only have an 18-inch range, and I don't think they're going to be able to hit them. And so they're just going to run. Now, difficult terrain counts as double movement, but any cover that's only covering half the models doesn't slow you down at all. You can hop over it easily. And they have a movement of 5 inches, so they can run up to 10. So they're going to run up to here. Get the machine gunner in position. Just make sure my character has a line of sight too. You can't shoot through your own models without a risk of hitting them, so you need to consider that. Now they ran, so they can't shoot, so I'm going to move on to this squad. This is just a close combat squad, so I'm obviously just going to run them up to the next cover. If I stop them midway, they're dead. Completely dead. The whole squad, like half the squad would be shot down and the rest of them would be running, as you'll find out. So I'm just going to move them up to here. They move 10 inches when they run as well. And since they ran, they can't shoot. Not that they could anyways. They don't have weapons that have range. Only this guy has a flamethrower, and he's obviously not going to be in range. But you can't shoot if you run.